Hey guys, so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about reliable versus unreliable websites. There are lots of things out there that are not reliable. I always start off by telling you guys, I really think it's important that you make sure that you are putting in for databases first. Like always look at databases first. That information we know it comes from a good source. Everything that is not what we want you to use has been already pulled out. But I know the ease of Google is kind of what you guys like. So I really want to make sure we've talked about how to tell the difference between the two. Now, if you were with me last year in study skills, then we kind of went over this, but I want to re-go over that because this is part of that project that we're about to do. And this is kind of part of the bigger picture of what you're doing with this Texas history. Um, so I'm going to kind of talk about like where we want to hit. Now, of course, the most reliable, the center of that target is going to be any reference books that we have. That's those nonfiction books that I have in the library. Encyclopedias, atlases, reference books, anything like that. Also, our online databases. Those are amazing to use, and you can use them for this project for sure, or for this whatever you're utilizing at school. But that's just you're never going to be off target when you hit that. Scholarly journals are like magazines for specific areas. As a librarian, I actually read librarian journals or library journals that are specific to me. There's law journals out there, there's doctor journals, there's history journals, there's all kinds of different area journals that teachers can get, and you know that the information you're getting is good. Now, mostly reliable, which is that next circle out, are going to be specific things. First off, nonfiction books. That does kind of go back and forth between the reference books and the nonfiction books. It's kind of the same thing, but there could be some there might be not as many similarities. Of course, biographies, it depends on kind of who it's coming from. Um, we are we kind of work on the notion that all websites are created equal, but they're not. Okay. Each ending of a website, that .org, .com, .net, .gov, .edu, whatever it is, it actually stands for something. It actually shows you what it is. And like a .com, pretty much anybody can create a .com, but for the other ones, especially .edu, .gov, and .org, only certain organizations can create those. And so if only those certain organizations can create those, they're almost like more valid information, or we can look at it and trust it a little bit easier. So you have to be very careful, but you'll notice that it says with the author of the article given. It doesn't just say all.edu, all.gov, all.org. They want you to also know that with that with the author there, that's when you really are hitting it hard. That's a good article. Or honestly, any reputable news publications. We have Time, newspapers, World News. This is sometimes where those Fox News, CNN, the different organizations like that, the AP and all that can come in. But what I will tell you, and then something else we're going to talk about is biased versus unbiased news, that's where some of these news publications might come in. So know that they are reliable from the facts, but sometimes remember, lying by omission is still lying. So, and it kind of goes both ways on that. Now, the maybe reliable sources that you really have to question if it's right, if it's something that you should use, is magazines like certain magazines like People, Vogue, teen magazines, anything like that. Those are really not something we use for research projects. Also, an online article with no author listed. You guys know how hard it is to write certain things, and when you put your time and your effort and your research into writing something, you want to put your name on it. And so that's really what we want to make sure and see, is that if you use an article, I want to make sure there's an author there, because why would they not claim it if they wrote it? So there's a question there. And you do have to go in with some question when it comes to .com websites. Keep in mind, anybody can make a .com website and they can make it look legit and like real. And that's something we're going to do today, but it's like you really have to be careful. And we have to, so just be that's kind of our target. Our target is this most reliable, but as you go further out, it's the least reliable. Some of the things to ask yourself is, first off, who wrote this? Is there a name? Again, why would they not put their name if it's not on there? Is there biographical information? Sorry. Did they tell you where they got their information from? Were they there? Or is it something that they pulled in from other sources, and are they sharing their sources with you? Are they clear and documented? Or is it you having to kind of search and look, and are they there with it? Is the information from an established organization? Is it a brand new organization that's bringing it out, like that just popped up, or is it something that's been there for a long time? Can you contact them? Is it a legitimate contact? Can you contact them and maybe clarify their sources? Now, I understand text with certain stuff, like in middle school, you're like, why would I contact them? But the idea is, could you? Okay. Is it full of facts, or is there a lot of opinion in there? Are you getting a lot more of their opinion than you are the actual facts? Are different perspectives representative? If you're getting the pros, are you also getting the cons? If you're getting the yays, are you also getting the nays? Are the sources trustworthy? Okay, is this coming from a source that you know, that you trust, that you've used in the past? Is this trustworthy, or is it something that you could question? And how current is the information? All the time things are being recycled and articles are made to look new, but they can't change the date on them. And so make sure that that date is something close. Now, let's say I'm getting an article about World War II. World War II happened back in the 1940s and the late 1930s and the 1940s. And so if I have an article from the 1940s, or even after that, it's a lot of those articles are real and they're legit and they're good articles to use, especially if they happen during the time World War II is happening. But what I'm saying is, if it's an up-to-date thing, am I getting up-to-date information? Is it something that is still changing? Am I getting changing information? And is my information very up to date? Like if I'm doing research on either Joe Biden or Donald Trump, they've been around for a while. Is my article about one or the other, is it from the 1990s or even the early 2000s, or is it from right now when it's more up to date? So just kind of keep that in mind when we're doing this. No, not reliable at all. Don't use, no, no, no. First off, Wikipedia. If you're looking stuff up on Google, that's usually the first thing that pops up. That is a no, 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 go. You guys know that. Another thing is social media. I feel like, especially today, that people are saying, oh, I on Facebook I saw, or on Twitter, or on Instagram, or all the other things that you guys, social medias that you guys, even I consider YouTube in that. You're really, really careful that what you're getting is good information and not just someone spouting off facts and all of that. Online chat conversations. You and your friend are talking and they give you a fact about World War II. Oh yeah, I remember World War II started in 1939. Even if they're right, it's not something that it's not a source. They are not a source. It's something where you can be like, it's like a starting point for you, but it's not a source. Blogs. And even I personally have gotten caught up in the fact that sometimes I accidentally stumble on a blog, but it looks real. So you have to be very careful. Remember, a blog is basically someone's online journal. Sometimes people blog about real stuff, and there are some blogs that might be good out there, but you have to be really, really, really careful. And I just would not use it. Self-published publications of biased information. If you're going to find out information about someone on a website that you know that they support and supports them, you're not getting the full picture. We might need to go on both sides. We might need to find someone that's more unbiased or not, that they support. You know what I mean? You want to find your information out. Not necessarily, sometimes coming from directly from the source is not always a good thing. Tabloids, and of course fiction books. So now that we've done this, we will be talking again about unbiased and biased information later, but kind of now you understand the difference between reliable and unreliable. Remember, reliable, good information, something I can use. Unreliable, something that I cannot use, that I'm not sure is good information.